How should you spend your time while playing Maplestory? New Age will be one of the biggest updates that Maplestory has seen within the last 7 years, and there's a lot of different ways that you could spend your time prepping for this massive update. And in this video, we're going to be going over some of the main concerns that most Maplestory players have while playing Maplestory and how they should spend their time. In this video, we're going to be going over Oz, training for EXP, familiars, and certain upgrading systems within the game. And hopefully by the end of this video, you know exactly what you should do to prep your character the best for New Age. Maplestory is a game that continues to change, and one thing that is going to be changing in New Age is the EXP while training. Now, before everybody freaks out about this statement, this really only affects players that are training the levels at level 270 plus. So if you're a mid-game player, it's not really going to affect you that much at all. So I wouldn't freak out, I wouldn't worry about it. But for players that are training at the level 270 plus areas, it is going to be quite a big impact on you. The other thing I do want to state as well before getting into this is that we are getting quite a big buff on dailies, so the impact won't feel as bad depending on how much you actually grind. So why is training important before New Age? Well, the number one reason is when New Age hits, we are going to be getting 3 new symbols, one at level 275, one at level 280, and one at level 285. I know a lot of people like to be caught up and they don't like to be behind in Sacred Force. So if you want to be caught up into Sacred Force, the best way of doing this is to getting as close to 285 as possible. Now, with that being said, I know a lot of players aren't trying to push to 285 at this current moment, but if you are somebody who's training 270 plus and you do enjoy that content, I would highly recommend training now and getting in as much EXP as possible, because after New Age, it is going to be much more difficult to actually get to these higher level areas through grinding EXP. The one thing that is nice though is that if you aren't somebody who trains a lot and you're somebody who only really trains for like 30 minutes to an hour, hour and a half a day, this change really isn't going to affect you at all. But if you are somebody who farms quite a bit and farms pretty consistently, this change affects you more and more the more that you actually farm. I think once New Age hits, it's about a 41% reduction in the amount of EXP that you'll actually be obtaining in comparison to now, comparing the current maps and EXP that we have now to the current maps and EXP that we'll have after New Age. Once you get to about level 285 training in those later maps, it's about the same EXP as you're getting currently in Odium. So if you are at that level, it's not really a big deal and you don't have to worry about it too much. But the really important level to focus on is 285. And I want to make a point that you don't need to be level 285 by the time New Age comes out, because we don't even get that level 285 map until about 2 months after New Age comes out. So again, I want to make a point. This isn't to stress anybody out or make anybody feel like they have to do anything. But if I were to tell you what I think is most important to be doing right now, it's 100% going to be training and getting as much EXP as possible before New Age actually hits. You already know there's going to be a ton of people yelling legacy EXP, and you did it when I couldn't. So if you're able to train now, train now. So moving on from training, we're going to talk about familiars and what I think that you should be doing when it comes to the system revolving familiars. I don't think that you should do it at all. If you're level 260 and you're able to train in Cernium, leave the familiar system behind. Do not worry too much about the familiar system. It's a total waste of time if you can train in better maps. Again, the number one reason why it's such a waste of time is because you could be getting a ton of EXP, and not just a little amount of EXP, but about 3 times more EXP training in Cernium versus in Limina. Now, if this change for New Age wasn't happening, that would be a completely different story. But because it's essentially a 2x event right now, or legacy EXP, I highly recommend leaving Limina as soon as you possibly can and when you're able to one-shot in Cernium. Now, of course, if you can't one-shot in Cernium, stay in Limina until you're actually able to one-shot in Cernium. Farming for familiars is never a guaranteed system, and it's a system that could take anywhere from 8 hours to 800 hours just to see one familiar. So I wouldn't base your time on RNG. I would put your time into something that's actually guaranteed and more consistent versus something that is in such a big margin of RNG. Sure, you'll get slightly more money. Sure, you'll get slightly more resources such as nodes and droplets, but it does not outweigh the value that EXP holds currently. But if you are curious on what a settle familiar would be, if you have any boss fam, any ID fam, any percent attack fam, that's totally okay. Don't FOMO out about it. That's going to be completely fine once New Age comes. And once New Age comes, fams, you want to be farming as much of the level 260 materials as you can, because that is going to have such an impact on your damage. And when it comes to actual final damage gained, we know that the maxed out 6 job system in KMS gives about 60% FD, and we can probably assume that we'll see anywhere from 60% final damage gain all the way to 150% final damage gain once the entire 6 job system is released. Now, after fams, a lot of people are talking about Oz and if they should do Oz or if they should go and train. The answer to that question would be absolutely not. Do not go into Oz and do not start capping 5 boxes a day. The reason why is, yes, of course, capping Oz will get you the rings potentially faster. And I say potentially with quotation marks because you're never guaranteed anything from Oz. Once New Age comes around, they will remove the Oz system and you will no longer be able to obtain ring boxes from Oz itself. The way that you will obtain these ring boxes is from killing bosses. Certain level difficulty bosses will drop certain ranked boxes. Starting at normal Lomian, you'll actually be able to obtain a Roar 3 or a Weapon Jump 3. So this is actually a really good system for almost all players. And hard Lomian and above will give you the opportunity to obtain a ring box that can give you either a Roar 4 or a Weapon Jump 4. Now, the problem that a lot of people are running into right now is that getting these rings from these bosses may take a lot of time. But the reality is that it's not actually taking any extra time out of your gameplay. Whereas Oz, if you're capping every single day, it's taking anywhere from 4 to 5 hours every single day to potentially not get anything. I've seen people run Oz for 10 million points and never hit either a Weapon Jump 4 or a Roar 4. So again, you're never guaranteed any rings from these boxes. The only thing that you're guaranteed for running Oz right now is losing EXP on your main. And then the last thing that I wanted to touch on real quick is upgrading items. Now, there's not a ton of changes to anything Star Force related or cubing related, but there was the defense sign that was currently just removed in GMS reboot, and there will be a cube sale when New Age comes along. So if you are thinking about cubing your gear and making that type of upgrade, I would highly recommend waiting all the way until that cube sale, and you'll be able to make an incredible amount of gains with this defense line removal. It's essentially like cube sale currently right now, but if you wait all the way until cube sale, it's almost a 50% reduction from cube cost prior to the defense line removal. Now, after going through all of these different things, I want to make a point at the end of the video here that the number one thing that everybody should be prioritizing right now is EXP and training on your main. And I also want to make a point that if you want to do any of these things in the game, it's totally fine. I'm not telling you that you have to do anything. I'm just telling you what's most efficient to do right now to save you the most amount of time. If you want to go and run Oz, go and run Oz. If you want to go and farm familiars, go and farm familiars. But they are a complete waste of time when it comes to training and gaining EXP prior to New Age. Hopefully this video helped make any decisions for you. And if you guys have any questions or think that I missed anything, please let me know in the comment section down below. But until next time, I'll see you guys all in the next video. Take it easy. Peace.